Cone, we the voices. I knew they'd come crawling back.
Welcome back to another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies.
Legalize.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to the lovely voice of Afro Becky. I am joined by...
I'm David Ruffin, and these are the Temptations. My name is Dan. Keep up with me on IG and on Twitter at I am Dan on Drugs. Keep up with the show, Black Law and Legal Lies, across all social media platforms, as well as on YouTube at Black Law Podcast.
Yep, and I'm just Dan, and you can follow me on Twitter. You can also ask me questions there. I do answer.
Man.
Oh, at I Tell Legal Lies. Yeah.
Speaking of questions, why the hell do most cities have police departments, but we are using the sheriffs for law enforcement down here?
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We in New Orleans.
Well, y'all have the NOPD, New Orleans Police Department.
Correct.
But where I live, they use the county sheriffs.
No, we have parishes.
Same thing. But I'm saying that so other people outside of Louisiana understand.
Well, we also have parishes. I mean, we also have we have a sheriff's department in the city of New Orleans. We have parish sheriff.
They don't handle the law enforcement. Like back home, we had police and the sheriffs. The sheriffs handled the court shit, like the transporting criminals.
Well, that's what our sheriffs do.
Right. So why the hell is Jefferson Parish governed? Their laws are enforced by the sheriff's department.
Okay, so there are different police forces. So Kenner which is a part of Jefferson Parish, Kenner has its own police force.
They're a city, though.
They're correct, right? And then there's parish sheriffs. So not only can Kenner arrest you, Jefferson Parish sheriffs can arrest you as well. They serve a dual role.
But why where I live, I dial 911, I need the police. Deputy.
Roll up?
Yeah, you get pulled over, traffic violation. Deputy? That never happens. But if so, sheriff.
All right, so Virginia.
We don't have a police department.
So name a city in Virginia.
Alexandria, Virginia.
So Alexandria
have their own police department.
They
Fairfax County has their own police department. Arlington has their own police department. DC has their own police department. PG County, they got their own police department. Where else? Woodbridge, they got their own.
So maybe like our sheriffs, they do a role. They handle the jails as well as they can arrest you.
But why? Why don't where I live have a police department?
As in what? Metairie?
Metairie, most of Jefferson Parish, unless you're an incorporated city such as Gretna, Harahan, Kenner, we don't have police departments.
Right. Listen to what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
So the Metairie metropolitan area, right?
Man, don't be trying to make my little area seem bigger than what it is. The Metairie metropolitan.
The Metairie metropolitan area is so small it doesn't need a police department.
So, we have
but yet Harahan has its own police department.
Yep.
They got 8 people in Harahan.
And so does Kinder. And so does Gretna. And so does,
our population is like 4 times that of the city of New Orleans.
All I know is
that shit just makes me.
Y'all have a lot of people in Metairie.
I'm talking about Jefferson Parish. Oh. It's like 2+ million people.
Yeah, but then you think about it. Each little enclave has a police force. So Kenner has its police. Gretna has its police. Marrero doesn't have a police department. But Jefferson Parish, so I guess if you think about it, it's it would be a financial as well as political decision. You know, if you are unincorporated, if you are living in unincorporated Jefferson Parish, you need to have your own police force.
See, I don't trust that shit because I'm actually I Googled it, but
Like, what don't you
shooting last
trust?
month. I don't trust Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office.
Well, why would you trust a city police?
Because it just sounds more authoritative. You know what I'm
Really?
saying? And
Really? Sheriff don't sound authoritative.
nah, sound like some old Yosemite Sam bullshit, man. Like,
Who shot the sheriff?
Oh,
she
yeah.
high.
No doubt. No doubt. She just proved it. No doubt about it.
So Jefferson Parish this year, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office is an outlier on body cams as criticism swirls around deadly force.
Yep.
They still refuse to wear
Body cams.
body
That's
cams.
correct.
It will cost them
Nothing.
Zero.
Correct, because the federal government will pay for it. That is correct. But Jefferson Parish say you know what? They kick too much ass to have body cams. Period.
I was started off joking, talking about I don't trust them, but seriously, in reading this articles on NOLA.com, it's like the demands for them to wear body cams is seeped in mistrust.
Years. Let me tell you something.
And
for
fear.
years, they have been trying to get Jefferson Parish sheriffs to wear body cams, and for years they have said that they will not do it.
2 days after George Floyd's death, there was somebody that was shot and killed in Jefferson Parish, and of course, no body cam footage, nothing, man. So about a third of the
municipalities
police departments have had body cams since 2013.
Yep.
New Orleans Police Department rolled them out in 2014. And Ronald Surpass.
What about Ronald Surpass? Lord Jesus. Good old Ronald Surpass. But you know what?
He's the one that brought him on board.
This is actually a good lead-in to what we're going to talk about.
I know. I did it on purpose.
No, you didn't. Because you're talking about, sheriff's offices versus city police and X, Y, and Z. And our next topic that we're going to talk about is jurisdiction. So, that was definitely a good lead-in.
Yeah. So there used to be this thing as far as jurisdictions are concerned, right?
Hold
so
up.
at the top of the show, I was talking about DC, right? DC, Maryland, Virginia, PG County, Alexandria, Virginia, all that shit, right? So we used to have this thing where if you do a crime in PG County and you can get across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge fast enough to where you are back in Virginia or you go out to DC, you're good. The police can't fuck with you because they'd be out of their jurisdiction. That used to be the
that's a lie, legend. Right? Because that urban legend has persisted till this day.
This day,
people still believe that, like, you commit a crime, say Jefferson Parish, all you have to do is get over the parish line and you good.
Yeah.
They still believe that.
Think about it though. Not looking at it from a law perspective or even a law enforcement perspective, it sounds legit.
But then, let me tell you. So, but as we know, and as you should know, because, you're denizens of Black Law and Legal Lies, there are exceptions to everything. Everything. So, when you talk about hot pursuit, that's an exception to jurisdiction. But most of the times if someone is pursuing you, what they will do is call in to the jurisdiction that you just entered, and they will start pursuing you as well. So, right. And then there's a thing called extradition.
Where you get taken back to where you came from. But
there's a legal procedure to take you back to where you came from.
Now, this is where jurisdictions might come in handy if you're being, again, pursuit, right? So we crossed that Woodrow Wilson Bridge. Maryland state troopers are behind me, right? I know I'm going into Virginia. So I'm like, psh, and I'm looking at them in my rear view and they still following, right? But Virginia has a law that says once pursuit exceeds a certain number of miles per hour, 80 miles per hour,
Mhm.
you by state law, being law enforcement, have to stop the pursuit because what
Right.
you're
You
doing is
can't
you're putting other
endanger.
people
Mhm.
at danger. So Maryland
Correct.
doesn't have that law, right? So they could pursue me for 24 hours as fast or slow as I want to go. But in Virginia, I know that they can't pursue me above this miles per
So
hour.
basically, you go 90
That's right.
and just
We're gonna go
keep
88 miles per
speed
hour.
limit.
you go just going ham.
So it can work in your favor if you have multiple jurisdictions
Hell
around.
no, it can't
Check-
work it because
check-
if
just
they
check the laws.
if they catch
Don't
your
let
ass,
'em
then
catch
you
you.
done.
Don't let them get
But
They gotta catch him first. That's
yeah,
the thing.
so let's talk about jurisdiction in a legal sense. And when we say jurisdiction, we mean area, territory, as we just talked about, Virginia, Maryland, those are jurisdictions. But we also mean power to act, basically. That's
authority.
in layman's terms, that's what jurisdiction in a courtroom sense, in a legal sense, that's what it means, having authority. So jurisdiction is actually broken down into categories, right? So you have what's called personal jurisdiction, right?
So that
And
is
then-
inside my home. That's my
No.
personal jurisdiction.
Beth, let me finish. Let me get this out
Man, I
before
be
you
having
start.
questions.
Before you just throw all this shit out there. All right, so personal jurisdiction, and then what's called subject matter jurisdiction, right? So,
Those my rhymes.
oh Lord. All right, so when we talk about personal jurisdiction, you can further break personal jurisdiction down into categories. So let's cover that first. So you said your personal jurisdiction is your home,
My home.
right?
That's right.
That's your personal jurisdiction.
Personal jurisdiction, my home and my car. And my what was the other jurisdiction?
Subject matter.
Subject matter. That was my rhymes, my my business plans and all that kind of stuff. They basically they like copyrights.
Oh,
so
really?
you talking like intellectual property?
Yeah, exactly. That is
That's
under my
his-
jurisdiction.
That's his jurisdiction.
Oh,
All right.
Lord.
So personal.
Becky. Wait, Becky.
All right. Oh,
Look,
right.
Becky.
Right. That's
We got-
right.
we got
I
a Becky on the
forgot.
show.
I forgot. Okay. But jurisdiction. What do you think personal jurisdiction means?
I don't want to guess.
Please
No.
feel free.
Just say stuff. That's what I do all
That's
the
what
time.
Dan does. all
Usually
the
flies
time.
over pretty well.
I noticed how it goes with you. And I kind of don't want to repeat that. I'd rather keep it at the level of edutainment.
Mm. Well, you be the entertainment part. The tainment.
mm,
He's the tainment.
he is.
So you be tainment part 2.
Personal jurisdiction.
Yes.
The authority you have
You can beat your kids.
personally. Yeah. This over certain things. Your legal rights, I guess. I don't know.
You're on the right track. So personal
So you can beat your kids, right? Your kids are your personal jurisdiction.
No, they are not. They're not your property either. This is not the Middle Ages.
Shit.
So anyway, so personal jurisdiction is basically the ability of the court to hear a case involving a particular person. So meaning your body. So when we talk about jurisdiction, as we said, we talk about the authority or the power of the court, right? So personal jurisdiction is the court's authority or power over you, over your person. And so that sorta means not just your person, it can mean your property too. So personal jurisdiction is further broken down into in personam, which means you in particular, your person, in rem, which means
That means you have passed away, and it's
no,
like in remembrance.
no. In rem, INREM means property, a
Mhm.
thing,
Same
your
thing.
property.
Yeah.
Whether it be personal.
Your rhyme book.
Wait, what?
Your rhyme book.
Well, yeah, because that's property.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And then quasi in rem. So that means, well, we'll get into what that means.
That's like a joint custody type of situation.
Oh, so I have joint custody of your rhyme book?
Yeah. Like maybe we both be writing rhymes in the book.
All right. So something to know about personal jurisdiction. You can waive personal jurisdiction. So let me back up a little bit. So let's say that I want to sue you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you live in Jefferson Parish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I live in Orleans Parish. And I am trying to sue you in Orleans Parish Court.
Good luck.
So I need you to come to Orleans Parish Court
Never gonna happen.
to answer this particular suit. So, does the court have jurisdiction over you?
Hell no.
Your person.
Hell no.
Well, two ways that the court can have jurisdiction over your person, right? One is
Get rich or die trying.
One is maybe they don't, but you waive that jurisdiction so you appear in court of your own volition.
Never gonna happen.
Right? Two is you have enough contacts with the parish, with Orleans Parish.
Okay, so I got a business
that you are subject to Orleans Parish jurisdiction, right? So you may have a business there, or you may work there, or you have enough contact with that parish that the court actually has authority over your person, right? So as I said, you can either waive it. Y'all don't have authority over me, but I'm giving it to y'all. Or I have enough contacts with this parish.
Okay, you don't have authority over me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I show up.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do have authority.
Because you just waived. So, right.
Okay, me, man, I don't like this shit. I ain't coming back. So
now you're in trouble.
Date.
Now you're in trouble. Because once you've actually waived,
you can't unwaive it?
Correct. It's not like I'd be like, oops, I'm sorry, redo.
I changed my mind, y'all.
No, once you've waived that jurisdiction or the lack of jurisdiction, once you've waived it, you can't go back. Because what happens is normally if somebody sends you something, you basically plead lack of jurisdiction, right? That's a way to defeat the lawsuit. Lack of jurisdiction. So, but you have to plead that. You actually say this needs to be dismissed because you don't have jurisdiction.
But don't you have to be there to do that?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, don't you have to go to court to plead that?
Right, but that you're filing this to say
into the mic.
Oh, you're filing this to say your appearance there is to object. Right? You don't have jurisdiction. If you don't do anything and the court finds that you do have jurisdiction, then we go back to you might be in trouble. Because I remember saying one time that if you don't, somebody sues you and you don't answer, they can get a judgment against you because the assumption is, okay, especially if they have service receipt, saying that you received the documentation.
Yeah, when they send them bozos out to your house.
So then you don't answer and the court finds on its face that I actually have that jurisdiction is good. I have a valid claim. Bam. We talking judgments. They go enter a judgment. And then once I get a money judgment against you, now I can put a lien on your house. I can garnish your wage.
Even though the house ain't in the jurisdiction.
Right.
Man, so wait, let's back this up, right? So you serving lawsuits, right?
Right. I'm filing lawsuits and getting them served. That's right.
Say the person, you cannot serve them.
Mm-hmm.
Say they done seen this trick one too many times on the cameras, and
Right.
they're like, ain't gonna happen again.
Right.
So boom, try to serve them at home, no response. Try to serve them at work, no response. Try to serve them at the gym, no response. Like, you cannot serve this person is unservable.
The law has a trick for that,
Which is
have the court to appoint an attorney to represent that person,
the unservable person.
and that person's interest. You know what? I don't remember if I said this on a show where we talked about getting divorces. And what if you can't serve the spouse that you're trying to divorce? I don't know if I said it, but I'll repeat it. I may have said it, but I'll repeat it. So basically, if you have a defendant that is impossible for you to find and/or impossible for you to serve, as I said, people are pretty smart. The law has a mechanism for that. So what you would basically do, you have a defendant in absentia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would ask the court to appoint an attorney to basically preserve their interest. So that's who you serve. That's who will show up. And that's who you would basically fight against. This attorney that the court has appointed. And
so that's how I got found guilty in absentia for my reckless driving shit. Because I ain't show up to court, but I was guilty in absentia.
Correct. You didn't show up to court. So basically, your lack of answering. See, that goes back to getting judgments when you don't answer. They
couldn't serve me either because I moved to Louisiana in the middle of.
Exactly right. So I can't get in contact with you. You don't show up because at the point where you got that ticket or whatever, you were subject to their jurisdiction and you didn't show up. And they tell you, you don't show up to plead innocent or guilty. Guess what happens?
Now, what about
that's basically an admission of guilt.
What about the jury duty type situation when they can't serve you no more because you're too slick?
So what? What happens?
You tell me.
So if you never get served, they never have proof that you actually received the notice. There's not a lot that they can do. So that's just like when they put stuff in the mail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it never got to you.
So basically, if you have a history of police officers coming to your house to serve you jury duty, do not answer the door. Nobody, anybody, everybody, just stay back. Stay back. Don't let them see you. So you need to get a front door camera so you know. What if you put a sign on your door that says, yo, if you solicit in some court papers, you are trespassing and we don't want you here.
Stupid, man.
All right, so your personal jurisdiction is your body.
Right. They have, as I said, they have jurisdiction over you, particularly because you live
in the city
or you have enough contacts with that particular place in order to give them authority over you.
Well, that seems like that can be a little
subjective?
Yeah.
Now if is it subjective if you own a business in that parish? Is it subjective if you own a business in that state? Let's take it out of the parish. Let's take it out of the state. So say I live in the state of Louisiana But I'm
Yes.
trying to sue somebody who lives in California, right? And I want to sue them in the state of Louisiana. Okay, off top, at first glance, you would think, oh, they don't have personal jurisdiction over that person. But that person owns a business in Orleans Parish. They actually own a house as well in Orleans Parish, and they frequently come down for Mardi Gras and this and that and the other. So when you start putting that stuff together, guess what? I think you have enough contact with the state of Louisiana and the parish of Orleans for the court to actually exert personal jurisdiction over you.
See, I think it should depend on the type of suit too.
See, that's subject matter. We get into that.
Okay, I'm just saying, cause like the last time someone tried to serve me with child support, I'm like,
Wait,
bitch, I don't
wait,
live
wait.
there, bitch.
Hold
I
up.
don't live there no
Hold
more.
up. Hold up.
Wait.
Man, you don't remember that? You don't remember that? You remember? It was for a dog. It was for a dog.
No, it was not.
Oh, it was?
No.
Wait, child support for a dog?
Yeah, dog support. That's what I meant to say, y'all.
Wait,
I had meant
child
to say,
support for a
ain't that what I
dog?
said? I thought I said dog support. Nah, so if somebody is trying to serve you child support, let's say y'all both lived in Orleans at one point, then let's say the father moves to Jefferson and doesn't have a business, doesn't work in Orleans. He's so the court kicks it back, or will the court kick it back?
It won't. It won't.
Come on, let's jurisdict this
All right.
shit.
So here's where. So where's the mother and the child now?
Orleans.
All right. So Orleans Parish has jurisdiction over that, right? And because you have reasonable contacts with Orleans Parish, because guess where your child lives, right? I have personal jurisdiction over you too. All I gotta do is serve your ass. Come on in the court. That's how people think about this. My cousin often gets hit with child support papers from the state of Texas. Cause guess where he has children at? The state of Texas.
Man, so for all, like, let's say we're trying to help the deadbeat fathers out here, right? How do we?
Wait, guess what? I don't help deadbeats. Sorry, moving on.
Man, most of the people you know are deadbeats.
You're right. I'm looking at
Most of
one
them.
right now.
So, no, I'm saying, how can you avoid getting served?
Is you high?
Not yet.
Apparently you
Like-
are as high as Becky, because I ain't about to tell people how to avoid being served.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a way. There is a way. Only trick I know,
Die.
nah, is keep moving. Keep moving. And I moved back and forth. And all moving consisted of was me changing my address.
Once again,
Well,
there's a way around that. See, that's what I'm saying.
And actually, let's use that as a real example, because that is how I got out of some shit. I was a teenager. Like, my father lived in one city, my mother lived in the other. I was going through the courts, some court shit. So midway, right before my first court appearance, I changed my address to my father's house. So my court-appointed attorney was like, yo, we got to dismiss this and send the case to the Stafford County or whatever, wherever he lived. So boom, they transferred the case. I transferred my address right back to my mama's house. Same situation. So rather than kicking it back, they just dropped the shit.
Correct, because as I said, there's personal jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction. But let's finish personal. So we said your person, right? Jurisdiction over your person, and that's because you have enough contacts with that particular place, to subject you to their authority. Then we talked about in rem, meaning property, right? Real or personal. Real property, that means
Real estate.
right. Like anything that's in the ground or something on the ground. Personal property, like your car, right? Your book of rhymes, anything
Right.
movable. All right. So if a court has jurisdiction over that particular thing, it can kind of drag you in it because you own this thing. So say you live in DC, but you
Mm-hmm.
own a house in Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have an interest in property in Louisiana. And somebody, excuse me, files a lawsuit in revolving around in regards to that property. I just pulled you in to this jurisdiction based on the property that you own here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because this property is in my state and my city and my parish. I have jurisdiction over it. So roundabout, I have jurisdiction over you because you have an interest in it. So you would want to come see about what's going on in relation to that property, right?
See, that's not real hip hop though.
What you mean? That's
Duh.
not real hip
It's not
hop.
real hip hop. Old school, son. Old school is you don't let nobody tell you what to do. Nobody got jurisdiction over you. So can you fight that type of jurisdiction? Like, let's say I'm in DC, own a house in Louisiana, renting it out to some crackheads, right? They done built a meth lab and blew some shit up, and the neighbor is trying to sue me, right? They filed a lawsuit, and I'm like, man, I really don't want to go to Louisiana because fuck that place. So I'm just not going to respond. So then they can do where they appoint my lawyer, right? Can I send somebody in my place?
You can hire a lawyer
In my place, and I don't have to go.
You can hire a lawyer, and in some instances, I've actually seen courts allow the party not to show up. As long as your lawyer shows up and your lawyer represents you, and it's not anything that you have to provide testimony or somebody wants to depose you or whatever. And even if they want to depose you, they may be able to depose you in the state of California, things like that. The court will work with you, but that property is subject to the court's jurisdiction. So anything having to do with it can be brought into whatever parish or city, wherever that property lies.
Man, and speaking of sending somebody else, your lawyer, right? That's how Paul got out of a reckless driving ticket in Rapides Parish. I don't even know where the fuck that is.
Really?
But he was out there chasing something.
Chasing
farm
some broad.
Animals or something.
Chasing some broad.
And he ended up going back to DC, and he called a lawyer in or around that area. It was like, yo, go handle this for me. So paid the lawyer $350 to go turn his reckless driving into a
non-moving violation.
Don't get another ticket for a year and we'll wipe it.
Yep.
And I'm like, what? How come you never tell me about that shit? I didn't know you could do that. That's, I mean.
Oh, this is way prior to black law and legalized.
Yeah, this was when I got my reckless. But he got his before me, so he knew the game.
I think Virginia actually has a related law. Yeah, it's like but that law that allows him to do that, a lot of people do it for tickets, but you can do it for other criminal acts as well. So,
all right, so now let's get into what's it? Subject matter.
All right.
Child support, that's a subject matter.
Right.
Real estate, that's a subject matter.
Tax, that's a subject matter. So there are courts of limited jurisdiction, right? So you just mentioned, so like family court. Family court is actually going to only be able to hear family court related subjects. So, child support, they would be able to hear. Divorce, unless there is a court specifically designated for divorce.
Yeah,
So
there is. Judge Mabel.
shut up. Taxes.
Divorce court.
The U.S. tax court is a court of limited subject matter jurisdiction. It is only allowed to hear the subject of tax-related matters. Like, you can't go into U.S. tax court and try to get a divorce. They don't have subject matter. So it is exactly how it sounds. If that particular matter, if you have authority over that particular matter, then you have jurisdiction, right? So like I said, there are courts of limited jurisdiction, or so we mentioned court, like tax court. We mentioned, so bankruptcy actually is a court of limited subject matter jurisdiction. And it is a court that only federal court handles. There is no state bankruptcy court.
In federal court, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who weren't paying attention when we did this episode a while ago, doesn't necessarily mean Washington, D.C. Just wanted to say that. Because a lot of people think when they hear federal court, they think federal government.
They think the Supreme Court. Yeah, they think, but no, there's a federal court in
every state,
most states,
every city too.
Yeah, in a lot of cities, most states, because the federal government actually breaks the country up into districts. So every district has federal courts in them. So
you want to know the most famous federal court?
Supreme Court.
No. Most famous federal courthouse.
Supreme Court.
No. Southern District
of DC?
Of Louisiana.
Why?
New York.
Oh yeah.
Why?
New York.
Because that's where they're gonna body Trump, son. They're gonna body Trump there.
Anyway, so like we said, so subject matter, a particular subject. So in order for when lawyers type up pleadings, we specifically say the court has jurisdiction over this matter because, and we list shit, why you have jurisdiction over this particular person, why you have jurisdiction over this particular subject.
Mm-hmm.
You have to specifically tell the court why the court has jurisdiction. That is why I said earlier that you can object to that. You can say, NERP, you don't have subject matter jurisdiction, or NERP, you don't have jurisdiction over me. YERP, NERP, YERP, you can do that.
Okay, so you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the court says, bitch, yes, we do.
Right.
And then did you waive that? Well, I guess there's nothing to waive if they do have jurisdiction.
Right.
Correct. So then it's on and pop, and ain't nothing else you can
do. Then it's either you in or you out, man. So like I said, that's something, jurisdiction or the lack thereof, that's something that you have to plead with specificity. I like that word. Okay. So subject matter. I talked about limited subject matter jurisdiction. Now I'm going to talk about general. State courts have general jurisdiction over state law, right? Things in their purview. Federal courts, as we said earlier, have limited jurisdiction. So, I said, I talked about trying to sue somebody that doesn't live in your state. Like, I live in Louisiana and I'm suing somebody in
they got property
California.
in Louisiana.
Well, no, say they don't. All right, let's talk. Let's say they don't. They don't
Mhm.
have. They've never had anything to do with the state of Louisiana, but they live in California. How would you sue them? But where would you sue them?
I would say in maybe federal court.
Yes, that is correct.
Right. What else? But what else is needed? You're absolutely right. So you can't sue someone from out of state if they have no ties to the state,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we talked about personal jurisdiction, subject matter. But if they have absolutely no ties to the state of Louisiana, you have to sue them in federal court because we talked about federal courts being courts of limited jurisdiction. That's a part of their jurisdiction. Suits between persons of different states.
Mm-hmm.
The caveat is you have to be from different states, and the amount
that's
of
kind of like the whole idea behind being from two different states.
the amount of money involved has to be
Over.
$75,000 or more.
Right.
Right.
Because under that, you're talking a civil suit, and
You're still talking a civil
man,
suit.
let me finish, man. Come on, I'm a well-researched. You're talking a civil suit here, and if you go do that pro se and represent yourself, the amount of money has to be under $500, and it is basically small claims court, but on a larger scale.
Wow.
Well, you know what though? He mentioned small claims court. Small claim court are courts of limited subject matter jurisdiction. They are only he's right, you can only bring certain kinds of suits in small claims courts. Like traffic courts as well. Courts of limited subject matter jurisdiction. You can only bring things related to traffic.
Now, these TV shows, right? That's the equivalent of small claims, right? Like the Judge Judy's and the
almost but for the most part, pretty much. And then you do something. Let me show you what we talked about: waiving jurisdiction. So you subject yourself
in order to appear on this TV show.
Correct.
You'll
Correct.
waive
Because
jurisdiction.
they may not necessarily have jurisdiction over you, but you give them the right to do so.
Now, my next question was going to be, are they real fucking judges in real court?
They are. And the thing is, we talked that you heard me say several times that you can waive personal jurisdiction. You cannot waive subject matter jurisdiction. If a court does not have authority over that subject matter, you as a litigant cannot waive the court's lack of authority over a subject. Cannot do that.
But you can rework some shit in order to get,
to try to make the court have subject matter jurisdiction.
Now, I can see that being beneficial though, right? Let's say I want to sue you for some shit that I really technically can't sue you for, but I sue you for, let's just call it Act B instead of Act A. I sue you for Act B. You get found guilty, right? Then I turn around and go back to court with this guilty judgment from another court, another subject matter court, and be like, look, Yana, they was found guilty of breaking the windows out my car or something.
You know what? That almost sounds like supplemental jurisdiction.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
That almost sounds like supplemental jurisdiction. So what supplemental jurisdiction is, and this is something.
This is what I was thinking of as I was saying that is, you know how you have something that gets stolen, right? You need to report it to your insurance company or whatever you need to do. The first thing they ask you for is
did you file a police report,
right? So then it's like, okay, that, you call the police, you get your police report, turn around and give it, and then they're like, okay, yeah, we'll accept this or whatever. So that's what I was thinking about, but kind of court-wise, which is I want to sue you for this, but in order to be able to, you need to be found guilty of something else first.
So, like I said, it almost kind of sounds like supplemental jurisdiction. So, in federal court, federal courts don't necessarily have purview over state law things, right? But if you are in federal court, and the case that you have in federal court is related to the claim that the court doesn't have independent jurisdiction over, they can use that theory of supplemental jurisdiction. The law gives them supplemental jurisdiction, and they can decide it all. So, that's just one way that the law works, that you don't basically have to go like, okay, I got to go to federal court for this, I got to go to state court for this, and I got to, small claim court for this. And then if it's all related, then supplemental jurisdiction will give you authority to decide that as well.
Now, can you fight that as a defendant?
You could try.
Be like,
Absolutely.
nah, I disagree. I want to make this as hard as possible.
Yes, absolutely. So, something else about subject matter jurisdiction. There is this theory in the law called standing, right? And what all right, let's see. Standing. What?
Standing.
I can't wait to hear this.
It's going to be one of two things. One, it's either okay, after you pull out your gun and shoot somebody, it is the ground underneath your feet. You are standing your ground. But no, standing is, let's see. Now, there's a few different even legal definitions for standing, so I'm going to need a little more information here.
Really? There's a few legal definitions?
You can be in good standing with the bar. You might not be.
Now, we're talking about standing as it relates to bringing suit.
Standing. Okay, that means it's like an open invitation. So basically, it's like I'm sending this. Let's picture court as a party, okay? I'm sending this invitation with the sheriff to your house, and it is a standing invitation. That means when you get it, you better come to the party.
Okay,
Becky?
You know what?
Becky? I'm pretty sure I got it, but go ahead.
I think those are pretty good, guesses, but
she got the answer.
Huh?
You got the answer. Go ahead.
No, I have a guess as well. Maybe it's kind of like precedent or like a standard, like this is normal type of situation when it comes to court.
I really don't understand what the hell she said, but
we need to actually do something about the precedent too.
True. Let's write that down as something else. So standing is actually your ability to bring suit. We talked about the court having authority over you. We talked about the court having authority over property. We talked about the court having authority over the subject of the suit. Standing is you personally, your ability or capacity to bring the lawsuit. So let's say that
if you are mentally ill or mentally deficient.
Let's say you shot me.
Cool.
Right?
Job well done.
And I have the ability to sue you for harm to my person, right? Because you shot me.
Mm-hmm.
My mother does not have the ability to file suit against you because you shot me.
But what if she had power of attorney and also basically you was mentally ill? And
See, that's a different scenario. We're just talking about, so I'm walking down the street, walking my dog, minding my business, and
Oh yeah, the dog gonna get it too. Pat pat.
and you passed by and you was shooting out the window and you shot me.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's around. Nobody's around.
Did you see me shoot you?
I saw you shoot me. Nobody's around except the neighbor across the street who actually identified your car and got with the police sketch artist, and the police sketch artist drew you
This damn show didn't happen in New Orleans, then.
straight up. You did it. So now you're going to jail because you done assaulted me with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, all this other stuff. But say I know that you have a bit of money too, and I want to stick it to your pockets, and I want to bring a civil suit against you.
Okay.
Well, my mother was not the one that was injured. But if my mother went into court and tried to sue you because you injured me,
she get laughed out of the court.
she doesn't have standing. She doesn't have capacity because she was not the one that was injured, right? She's not the one who suffered. So, I might bring civil suit for pain and suffering, loss of work, all this other stuff. My mama tries to do that. She's right, because she's not the one that went through all of that.
All right, look at this, right? So I get sent to jail. All right, you sue me, you get a judgment. All right, now this is when I really go to work because I'm meeting with the prison house lawyers, and what we found out, we realized is that your neighbor who ID'd me has 10/8 vision in his eyes. Okay.
So he had his glasses on. Wait,
and my dash cam picked up that he didn't have his glasses on. See, but of course, I can't actually submit that as evidence, right? Because that would show that I was in the area. But, me and my prison house lawyers, right? So he didn't have his glasses on, okay? And we found out that he was on all kinds of prescription weed medication, right? For the glaucoma in his eyes that's fucked up, right? So... boom. We shoot during the appeal. We crush this witness. Me and my jailhouse buddies crush him to where.
How y'all crush him?
Man.
Because on appeal, you couldn't even bring that shit up. You would have to bring that up in the actual case.
Okay, well, we do that. And then, boom, the verdict's overturned, right? Because we appealed it, right? Do I get my civil monies back?
So... here's the thing.
Like, let's say with OJ. Let's say OJ went to court and they found him guilty.
Look, so the standard's totally different because OJ was acquitted.
Right. So, but what I'm saying
and
is,
civilly,
let's say he was guilty, and then he appealed, verdict overturned, he's free, but he still has that civil judgment.
Right, because
so that doesn't get overturned.
Because the standard is different. You can't appeal a civil judgment. So you can appeal a civil judgment. And I believe OJ did appeal. And on appeal, he lost too. But the standard is totally different, as we know, if you've been listening to us for fairly.
Let me explain. So there is not the reasonable man standard, but during a criminal trial versus a civil trial. So in the civil trial, it's not beyond reasonable doubt.
Correct.
It is, I kind of think you did this shit.
Started with the P.
Yeah.
Preponderance of the evidence.
Preponderance of the evidence. Yeah,
correct.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to use gang language on here.
So that's actually the difference. So beyond a reasonable doubt is a very high standard. Preponderance of the evidence is more likely than not. So is it more likely than not that this is a person that shot me and caused me all this pain? And yes. So.
But I would get up in the courtroom because I have the right to be there in a civil suit, right? You suing me for shooting you, even though I said I ain't shoot you, right? See, this is where, ladies and gentlemen, let me give y'all a law clinic right here. I would jump up out of my seat and I'll be like, y'all playing with my life. Y'all playing with my life. Y'all trying to kill me. Y'all trying to kill kill my soul.
You know what, R. Kelly? You
And
know
then
what?
boom.
I don't even.
Just that performance right there.
Nah.
I'll be out of there.
Nah. All right. So while we talking about jurisdiction, let me just throw some stuff out here about the federal government. And we've talked in prior, and I'm sure we'll talk about them again. We've talked about hate crimes and federal laws related to hate crimes. So how is it possible since we know that federal courts and things of that nature are courts of limited jurisdiction as far as subject matter is concerned, how is it possible that something happens in the state of Louisiana as far as a hate crime is concerned and the federal government can prosecute?
Because you broke
under
broke-
federal law.
You broke federal laws.
See, there's a difference though. There is something. You ever heard of the Commerce Clause?
Yeah. That's pretty much where. It's kind of like when you fill out your income taxes, right?
Okay.
You fill out your income taxes. They'll ask you, have you ever purchased anything online and not paid state sales tax on it? And you're supposed to put everything you bought from Amazon's before Amazon started collecting tax and all these other tax-free websites. You got to list all the items and all the money that you spent. Everybody just put 0 on there. So that is the Commerce Act. Becky?
I don't think I can compete with that one.
All right, so
Spending money across state lines.
pretty much. So you on the right track. So what the federal government did, the way they make this federal hate crime and a lot of other laws work, or not work, but they are able to prosecute, to step in, take over, and prosecute under a federal statute, is by way of the Commerce Clause. Because what Congress did was say that if it affects interstate commerce, right? If it affects interstate commerce, we can jump in. So let me tell you how they get around this. And lawyers are slick, boy. They really are. So if the implementation used in a hate crime, if you can show that it has been in interstate commerce, or it is a vehicle of interstate commerce, you can be subjected to federal law. So, or if you can say that when you committed the crime that you committed, you stopped the victim from engaging in interstate commerce. So basically, if you pick somebody up, beat them up, put them in your car and drive them to a spot, you're subject to the federal law via the Commerce Clause, because a car is an implement of interstate commerce, right? If you use a gun in a commission of crime, a gun, how you got that gun? Somebody had to ship it in, cross state lines.
Nah, I bought it from Academy right down the street.
Yeah, but guess where Academy got it from? They didn't build it in the back of Academy's warehouse. It got shipped. It got shipped in an 18-wheeler from somewhere else and came to Academy. So see how that works? It's an implement of interstate commerce, or it was in interstate commerce and it was used in a commission of a crime. Commerce Clause comes in, federal government is able to take over.
So that's how they got Jack Johnson and what's your boy Chuck Berry.
Interstate commerce.
Yeah, for taking white girls across state lines.
Absolutely.
That ain't some ridiculous shit.
Like I said, jurisdiction. How did the federal government get jurisdiction?
See, and what's crazy too about those stories, at least, because I know these stories, Jack Johnson, former heavyweight champion back in the early 1900s. But the places that they lived didn't necessarily have a problem with these men or Chuck Berry being with white women. They, on the face of it, they had a problem with it.
They
but
absolutely had a problem with
because
it. Mhm.
of who these people were,
Mhm.
and we're
Let
talking
me
about
set an
commerce.
example. Let me set this example.
Well, I'm talking about the local municipality.
Mhm.
You look at what somebody like, let's say, a Drew Brees brings to New Orleans, right?
Mhm.
Drew Brees can get away with a lot of shit just because of the amount of money
He brings
and
into-
interest he generates in the area. That's how Jack Johnson was. That's how Chuck Berry was. So it wasn't necessarily that those towns that they lived in was like, let's string these niggers up. But the federal government was like, let's string these niggers up. And it wasn't nothing nobody could do about it.
Mhm. So basically, that is. But I highlighted that to show you how the federal government can basically take something over and the mechanisms that they use. Since we're talking about jurisdictions, and when we're talking about hate crimes specifically, as of this date, I think there's only 30-ish states that have hate crimes on the record, on the books as
I can
laws.
believe it.
So there's only 30-ish. So anytime somebody in a state that doesn't have a hate crime law is a victim of hate crime, the federal government is the one that has to pursue it.
And I'm going to tell you who has to pursue it. I know this, the Department of Justice, DOJ.
Bingo.
And
So-
I'm going to tell you how I know that, though. Because Obama would send the dogs out, be like, I sick 'em. But Trump, it's like stand back and stand by.
down. Right. So the thing, I said that to say that in those states where they don't have hate crime laws, if the federal government can't pursue cases, more often than not, you see people, assault, get slapped on the wrist,
Mhm.
things of that nature, because the law has to work within its laws of that state, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, jurisdiction is a big thing. It really is, because if I don't have power to hand down a judgment for something, you can get no relief. So, I mean, it is a cornerstone of the law, and I can't believe it took us this long to actually do a show about it. But, I mean, any questions?
That's because most niggas like, I don't know what the fuck they talking about.
So, I mean,
My only question goes back to earlier with the deadbeats and helping them not get served.
Man, you stupid. Why would I? Once again, why? If you are if you are a deadbeat, you need to step up. Why would I help you?
But are you saying deadbeats shouldn't get the fair representation?
Right. So be represented. Show up in court, nigga. Show up.
Nah, man. I'm gonna tell you, I'd send my doppelganger by proxy, whatever that is.
Really, your doppelganger by proxy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Becky, any questions? You good? Because I got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another week of Black Law and Legalized, but stay tuned, because guess what? There's going to be another week of Black Law and
And
Legalized.
another week.
My name
and
is
another
Dan.
week.
Keep up with me on Twitter and on IG at I am Dan on Drugs. The show, all platforms at Black Law Podcast, as well as YouTube. And please leave happy-go-lucky 5-star reviews for us.
Happy-go-lucky.
Happy-go-lucky.
I like that.
And you can leave reviews for me, Afro Becky. I'll get them one way or another.
She will definitely. See, it's Becky who they said was racist, just to let y'all know.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. They said you were a raging racist.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Just Dan. And you can follow me at I Tell Legalize on Twitter. Please, feedback.